everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of Against All Odds. And as I say at the beginning of every single podcast, it's purely a selfish reason why I do this podcast, because I get to speak to people that inspire me. And today is no exception because I have Rich Wellfair with me. How are you, my lovely?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good today. It's been a great day.
It's been a great day. You've had a hard day and you've hit some goals, yeah?
That's it, yeah. So you kind of caught me at a good time in one way.
I love this.
I'm on a roll. Let's just keep going.
Yeah, I love that attitude. Now, the reason, obviously, you are UK's number one plaster. We can't forget to miss that out. And in my opinion, the UK's number one videographer as well. I will say that. Yeah. And the reason I've asked you on the podcast today is because you do really inspire me. I mean, we both work with Paul Moore, and it's not until recently I kind of learnt your backstory through your videos. So I kind of seen that you was doing all the plastering, you was doing really well, like UK's number one plasterer. That's a big like status. But you started to share your backstory, didn't you, about like why you got into coaching? Do you want to go into that, where that started
Yeah,
for you? Because
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's pretty incredible, mate. How
So yeah, you talk about being the number one UK plasterer. To me, I've been doing that job forever, and that doesn't, it's almost like other people know me as that. I don't know myself as that because I feel like there's a whole different life out there to just doing that.
yeah.
And as you say, you found me through some of my video. And the reason I really started getting into that was coming from working with Paul, personal development, really understanding yourself a bit better, always knowing I'm a creative person, creative job, but then other things get sparked. You start going in a different direction, when you open your mind to more things. But that was started by working with Paul, did start from, a tragedy from losing my mum. That was 2019. And, there was, just trying to think really where to start that. Obviously, the end result was she took her own life. And that was a shocking incident for any family, any person, and everybody reacts differently. I felt like I didn't react. I felt like I just went into this mode of not just being rational. Let's do the next best thing. Just it was almost like you didn't give things time to affect you because everyone's grief is different. And
Yeah.
my first port of call was I joined Paul. I'd seen Paul Moore before. I'd seen some of his social media, his adverts talking about things that really hit home, personal development, just some of the problems him and people he knows faces and how they handle them. I knew that was something I should have done, but back then I was in the wrong headspace. I didn't feel, maybe I just felt like I cared too much what people thought to go join something like that. And
Yeah.
when this happened with my mum, I instantly lost all care for what people thought anymore. Like the worst has happened, and what? So what? That there was no reason to deny yourself any further, and that's why I started that journey with Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously starting with Paul just unlocked a whole new load of things. But what I think the two together combined perfectly. And I know some people wouldn't want to hear that, but losing my mum and joining a personal development group like Paul's, the combination of the two has given me the best results because I've not entered this from a place of I need to do better. I've entered this in a position of like I will do better and nothing's going to stop me and I don't care anymore what people think. So I've just took risks. I've done everything. I've joined Zooms. Never been on Zoom in my life, and I'm thinking I've got to click this button in a minute, and I'm going to be on that big screen in front of all these guys, asking for help for problems I'm dealing with. This doesn't happen to me. But
Yeah.
it's gonna happen to me because I'm here now and I'm here for a good reason. So it taught me to sort of jump a load of hurdles that I would have never have done before. And through doing that, I've developed as a person. The way I think is completely different. The results of getting life are completely different. The way I see life is different. I
Yeah.
think I always, like most people in these groups, always had it in us. We always knew better. We just never did better. And we're not always being taught things we didn't know. We knew them anyway. We just didn't prioritize them. We didn't look at them in the right way. So, yeah, joining Paul's group really helped me with my grief in one way because it let me learn a lot about myself. And you found me through my content and the videos. Every year, I make a video based on um, losing my mum. And to me, that's just been a way of telling a story.
Yeah,
My grief has been very, you'd expect, you almost get annoyed with yourself. You'd expect, you see other people crying and upset and sad talking to you about it. And I'm not as upset as they are. Why you start questioning, why are they more upset than me? And it's not that you're not upset. Everybody does things different. And I think all mine comes into that content. And that is me telling my story. That's me saying what I think. I'll just paint a picture. That's what I do.
yeah.
That's the way I find it works for me. That's where my hyper focus comes in. That's where all my energy and everything and all those bits of pain just come into that, and I just push that out there. That's what I
Yeah.
do.
It's incredible because, like you say, everybody deals with grief in a different way.
Hmm.
So, would you say you wouldn't allow yourself to grieve, or you just?
I think
It's
sometimes I thought that, but then I guess I'd always go seeking out, looking to find that feeling as well. Like I'd visit the place my mum died multiple times, always trying to spark a feeling, and it didn't used to come. And I think that is an element of shock. I think that is an element of your brain protecting you from
yeah,
things. Um, and yeah, and I think again, this was part of the message. Part of the reason I did these videos, or I do these videos, is all I ever see when I search out and I see, and I'm in these groups of people that lost people by suicide. There's a lot. There's not a lot of hope, and it's understandable. But everybody's upset. Life will never be good again. Nothing will ever be the same again. Everything's terrible. And I just, from working with Paul and having this great experience and growing my life, I kind of had this view that actually this was a golden opportunity. And I know a lot of people don't want to hear too much positive on a negative, thing like that. But that's how it was, and that's how I want my story to be. That from this pain, we were able to create something. We've got an opportunity, whether you like it or not. They've already gone. You know, your life is still in your hands. That wasn't in your hands, but what happens next is. And I wanted to tell that a bit more to other people. So maybe somebody that is going through that and they do feel like things are really crushed, their life is completely changed, just to give them the opportunity just to think about that for a minute, that you do have, you are in charge of the next step. This is on you. It's still on you
yeah.
what happens next. And that's kind of what I like building mine around, because I've seen no content like it. Nobody talking about the positive effects of a tragedy. I've not seen it.
You say right. I mean, suicide is at its highest rate as it's ever been. And when we spoke before weeks ago, when we said, right, we're going to do this podcast, it's like I personally know quite a few, well, a handful of people that have been in the same situation as you, right? So I only live in a small town. So UK wise, there must be so many people that have been in your situation,
Mhm.
right? You don't hear about that. You hear about the suicide rates. You don't hear about the people that are left behind.
No, you don't. And again, I guess myself, I wasn't madly aware of it before. And then I guess also, there's a lot of things and a lot of big groups out there, and they do a lot of big walks. And it's all about talk and awareness. And obviously, you need awareness. I do struggle to see where some of the action is sometimes, what they do, because I contacted some of them in the past to share content and stuff. Some of them didn't respond. Some of them weren't actually interested, and their auto generation responses were almost, if you're in a crisis, ring this number, which is a national number. And sometimes I did question what some of the charities were doing other than putting events on and posting loads of branding. And I know that obviously they're bringing people together and they're making things aware, which is great. But I still do struggle to see where the action and the real impact is from some of these groups.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like what's somebody's next step?
yeah, what is their next step? How could they help somebody? Because there is a lot of promotion going on around certain groups, but I'm not actually sure what they're able or going to do for people. And I think those kind of questions need answering as well. Maybe they don't know the answer. It's a complex subject. But
It is. But yeah, like I said, everybody deals with grief in different ways.
mhm.
Um, and I think the kind of stereotype way of it has been absolutely upset, and that's fine, you know, everybody. But actually, if you aren't kind of sinking into depths of depression yourself and doing like that, it looks quite odd, like you said, that you were searching for that. So that
Mm.
must be confusing as well at that time, because you're thinking, right, okay, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So
Yeah,
imagine how many people are out there who are actually feeling like that.
definitely. I think I like to think I know myself quite well, and I knew that I was going to have a problem connecting the dots. When the night my mum died, I was there, and the rest of my immediate family were there, probably within about half hour of her dying. And although she was just around the corner, I had this need to go over there. Everybody said, "Don't do that. That's not. You don't need to do that." And I decided not to go see her at that moment. And then afterwards, I regretted it because I knew in my brain I needed to connect those dots. It's almost like saying if a family member died in a car accident, the accident's around the corner. If you
Yeah,
didn't go around there, you never saw it. That person just went. And I know I needed to connect those dots. And I do think maybe that might play a part in why I'm not struggled to grieve how I thought I would grieve, how I expect you to grieve. But then who knows
yeah,
how people are going to react. But I know that I left with this fearless attitude. Yes, it wears off a bit, unfortunately, after a while. But I had this, I'd be getting up, running 5 in the morning, pitch black, going through parks, going through places you probably shouldn't be on your own. But I had absolutely no problem doing that. I just lost all fear for everything, and I think that helped me grow my business. When I started doing social media content, doing personal branding, being the face of my own business, where I always liked the idea of it, but I was a bit too scared of what people might say, how I might come across if I mess it up. And then I just thought, after losing my mum in that way, I just felt like life can't just be this. It cannot. I was unhappy with what I had as a life, even though it was good, but I knew I could do better. And I thought my life cannot carry on the same. It has got to mean more after this. It must mean more. And I think that's been my attitude towards it is we're going to do more. But there have been some negative effects, as you'd expect, and I think some of that is I never rest, I never stop. I feel guilty to stop. I feel guilty to slow down. I always feel like I'm not doing enough. I always feel like things aren't good enough, no matter how many people, including yourself, will say that was brilliant. And I'm thinking, I know where the problems were in it. I'll finish a project and I go looking for problems. I'll shoot a video and I'll see all the bad bits. And uh, maybe I had a bit of that before, but I've got things I didn't used to have. And some of it might be ADHD type symptoms. And yes, that might have been there. There's a bit more to it. It's a bit more intense than that. I seem to have like extreme sort of like what's the word for it? Fear of rejection. I can have a
right.
conversation with somebody and they might just say one word to me and or might look slightly disinterested and I walk away thinking they really don't like me, do they? And it just plays in my mind. And I never used to be like that.
Right, so you like beating yourself with a stick, then, mate? That's what you're trying to say to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, bless you. So I'm taking it that your mum was kind of mentally poorly for a while.
Not, no, I wouldn't say
No,
on and off. So she she grew up and she had a really crappy childhood. Her parents did not look after her as they should have. They didn't protect her. And as she got into her mid-20s, she blocked a lot of that out and it came back to her.
right,
When she reached out to her immediate family, she had quite a lot. Nearly all of them chose not to believe her and carried on life as normal, which is pretty soul destroying. She carried on. She was quite obviously quite a happy person. She's a Christian. She used to go to church. Extremely helpful, like second mum to my kids and many other kids. One of those
yeah,
people. If you knew her, you'd never think this happened to her. It's one of those
right, yeah,
obvious cases. Um, and then she had outbreaks at times of depression and things that brought her down. And being a kid and growing up, you're not always aware of these things. It's
yeah,
something you hear of. oh, that she wasn't well last summer, sort of thing. This time round, she wasn't well. She had the crisis team involved. It was about 6 weeks of just, yeah, just not herself. You could just, she was not herself at all. Um, not leaving the house, just not looking. You know, you just look at somebody, and think that person, they're just not there.
Yeah.
That's the state she got to. She actually was failed by the crisis team and went on there going to pin it onto them because we know the reason she felt the way she did, but they also they were slack, they missed opportunities, they didn't think it was as serious as she was being told,
Mm.
um, as they were being told, and they actually allowed her way more freedom than she should have had. She should have been admitted to hospital. She never was, and she just carried on for a few more weeks until it was too late.
Yeah. So, so, so very sad. So sad. So, what was your, obviously you joined Paul Moore. What was the first, can you remember, how long you been with Paul?
Like 5 years.
5 years. Can you remember your first set of goals that you set with him?
Oh, that's a good question. I can't remember my first goals in the early days, but when I went on to one of his first alliances, sort of first full package, I can remember one of my big goals at the beginning. That was to buy a new van for my business, and I'd always had nice stuff. And my previous van was from brand new. It was really smart at the time, 11 years old. Through my lack of getting shit done, I allowed that to get old, worn, to the point it was like, you had a brand new lovely van and now it's a piece of crap. Why haven't you sorted this? Because I was just such an inconsistent person at that time. So I set a goal to buy a brand new van, but not just a van, like the best on the market you can get, dream vehicle for work, marketing tool, pinpointed what it was, found out the cost, wrote it down, and I set that as a goal. And within 90 days, I'd saved up nearly all the money to pay it outright, and I ordered it. And I thought, how have I gone 11 years in that vehicle? In 90 days in this program, I've gone and bought the best van possible. No,
I love that. I
yeah,
love that. So, you in your video, the one I think it's the one you did in November because you said you do them yearly, don't you? Was it last November?
yeah,
You kind of hit a chord with me when you said like we do everything because of our emotions and how we're feeling.
yeah, yeah.
That
We
is,
do. We
yeah,
react.
that's
We
so
react to
true.
everything. We react to absolutely everything, and you know that we do that.
Yeah, yeah, but that's quite hard to for somebody to hear if they're not kind of worked on themselves. And that's why that hit me in that video because I thought you said it as simply as that. And it's so true.
It is, and I think maybe educating people with that might help them. I'm guilty for it, but not beat themselves up as much. Why did I do that? Why did I do that thing I said I wasn't going to do? Why do you think you did some of those things? You are reacting to how you're feeling, and it's not major instance. You don't have to have a horrendous day to come home and just start day drinking.
Yeah.
You can just feel anxious. You can feel overwhelmed. You could be thinking too much about what you should be doing, where you should be, what I should be a better dad. I should be a better. All these little things that are just going on in your daily life shape your choices if you're not aware of them, and you can change those choices if you can catch yourself, thinking in that way. And I'm not perfect. Don't get me wrong. I make some great choices, and I make some really shitty ones as well. To this,
Don't we all?
to this day, but I'm a million times better than I used to be, and that's because of the training we've both had.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of like dealing with your emotions, was that kind of like first port of call for you when
Uh,
you kind
no, no, I don't think it was. I think it was. I think it was taking life seriously again. Taking life seriously. Stop treating business like a hobby. Even though I was already doing quite good at it, but it was routine. Wake up, and we all know we can wake up early, but it was like getting really zoned in. I'm going to get up at this time. I'm going to structure. I learned to plan with Paul, and now I'm such a planner. If you seen what I written, you'd think you're a psychopath on a
I love that.
basis. The amount of stuff And if I haven't got a plan, I'm thinking I will not move forward in this day until there is a plan. Where I never used to have a plan. I used to have like 10 jobs to quote in a day. I didn't even have a piece of paper with them written on, and
Yeah.
now I'm scheduling a shower.
Yeah. Do you know what? I've got a really weird question for it. Have you ever tried to take a break from planning and journaling since you
Mm,
started?
not on purpose, probably only when you think you know what you need to do. So why would I bother writing it down today? And that does work for a really small bit of time.
Yeah. I had about 3 months off when Ben actually had his off. Worst 3 months ever, because it meant that my brain was just focused on everything.
Then what? No
Yeah.
priorities.
No priorities. So it focused on everything that I didn't want. It was absolutely awful. So I always say to people, when you're planning and journaling, you can't tell it's working until you stop doing it, and then you can tell it's working.
And I think that's the bit I loved about it. Not just setting goals, these aren't standard goal setting things when you work with Paul Moore, they're proper tuned in, they're aligned with you. Like you're excited for this stuff. You are not prepared to fail if you set it right. Alongside the fitness stuff, listen, just listening to Paul and doing those trainings every now and then, it could be an hour long of nothing, and there'd be one sentence in there that just hits home enough. It's not just going to change your day, it change your week, it might change your month, it might change the way you actually go on to organize the rest of your life. That's how important some of these little trainings are.
Mm,
And I think all those combined over those years, to me, it's just made such a difference, about the way we approach things, and the level we should be at, and just not letting yourself off all the time, really.
yeah. I'll obviously say I'm a big kind of campaigner for men's mental health. Having a group of men together, I mean, I know you're not getting together all the time, but you've got your group and you like, does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bit different for me because I finished school early,
Right.
made next to nothing, and I never went on to further education. I never had that proper group of friends in that way. I never had the holidays or the things, all the friend group shit things like most people. Most people would go on to further education, would have those kind of socializations and relationships. I was just a hard worker, straight to work. Yeah, we had work colleagues and friends and stuff, but being in the group with Paul and having these quarterly meetups with all like-minded people that are all like pursuing a good future, they're all like chasing stuff, but they've also come from similar backgrounds as well.
Yeah.
Having those meetups and going to the odds Marbella trips or the UK trips and meeting up with these people, for me, brilliant, because I wasn't used to being able to meet up with groups of people and go to events like this, whereas for some people that's actually quite a normal thing to do. But for me, it's like the highlight of the year every quarter.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Now, when I watched your latest video about your mum, it was clear to see that a lot of your childhood was, well, not a lot of it, but snippets of your childhood was videoed as well.
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
where
I
your
said
love of
it's just
videos come from?
just snippets. Yeah, we used to have a camcorder.
Yeah,
We were considered. I said that we were posh in our street. We lived in a council estate, but we were one of the only ones to have carpet. So we also had a video player later on.
yeah,
But
yeah. Seeing the videos of you when you were younger, and I was like, I wonder if that's kind of
got the same.
sparked this fascination.
We've got the same. We've still got our video players here.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's where I got those footage from. It came off that tape.
Yeah,
I've still got it.
I love that.
So yeah,
Absolutely loved it.
1998 and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when did you kind of get into like doing all your own videos? Because I would
Uh,
say, mate, honestly, you
when
impressed
when I was little, I used to
me.
play with that camera, but then I didn't really do much again. Several years later, using your iPhone, I realized I liked the aspect of editing and shooting. I wasn't very good at it. And then I kind of left that alone again. And then when I started working with Paul again and I started to take business serious again and not a hobby, I realized, oh yeah, I used to do all this stuff and I loved it. And I don't know what it was. I think when I shot the first video about my mum for the first anniversary, I decided, using techniques I'd learned of Paul, to learn some really technical editing software. I tried to learn it in the past and I kept just giving up. It was too hard. I said,
Mhm.
no, you're only allowed to create this video about your mum using this software. So I hyper focused on it. I got it done. I learned so many skills doing it, and I produced it. And from then on, every year, I'm like, I want to do a better job. I want to do a better job. Or yeah, I just there's something about it. I don't need pushing or motivating to try and shoot some cinematic thing. I mean, I'm doing plastering videos and I'm trying to make cinematic masterpieces. In reality, I'm meant to be putting stuff on a wall.
I love it. That's I'd say. Well, I said to you before. It's like even your plastering videos just fascinate me. I'm just like glued. You've just got away with these videos to
We're we're
catch
doing
people's
one
attention.
tomorrow. We're doing one tomorrow. Looking forward to it actually. We're going back to revisit like a really posh grand design house, and customers just give us free flow of the house, do what you want. Like it's got a great relationship with them. And yeah, we just wrote a whole plan for it. And we're like, yeah, we're gonna just gonna have fun. We're just gonna do cool stuff. And that's what I love about my business. Obviously I get to do what I want. We earn, good money enough to not be going 100 miles an hour all the time. We just slow down and actually just do what we like. Today we spent the whole day shooting marketing videos. I don't know another plasterer in the UK that decides to take a day to shoot marketing videos. Well, we do because we love it. It's fun.
Yeah,
We do what we
I
want.
love that. In fact, I saw a video. It was, I think it was. It's been over the last week about when you had negative feedback
Oh
on
yeah, yeah.
videos. Mate, I'm so glad you did that because how many people right get themselves out there on video and then will stop if they have a negative comment?
There's a comment on that video from someone saying just that. They said that they'd all but given up on social media because of this negativity.
Yeah,
And I get it, if I was starting out and I wasn't working with people like Paul and I just decided to give it a go, put my face out there, and people just ripped you either side or picked on your insecurities, I'd be really cautious about doing that again. And if I never did that, I'd never grow my business. I'd never, get better job opportunities. I'd lose so much by not having the balls to personal brand. So these people are just, yeah, knocking them down. They're costing people a lot. And
yeah,
we all have a laugh. We all take the mick. I can't help but drop a bit of dry humor in every now and then, but it's not enough to make somebody to want to quit what they're doing.
yeah. Because you had some really shitty comments now. I can't remember them
I
now.
get loads. I get them daily. I just respond to them with dry humor every day. Never get replies back, really. Never get replies back.
You know, and funny that, isn't it?
So I usually ask them, please tell me more of your experience on this scenario. They've got no experience in whatever they're having a go at. They never have.
Just keyboard warriors with
They just
nothing
look
better
at
to
something
do.
and go, that's different to what I know. It must be shit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's it. Like I said, I watched that video and I thought, I'm so glad you've done that because I know people. I can remember when I first started doing this podcast, right? Because it's quite a big thing to get yourself out there, isn't it? And the worst thing I was dreading was having horrible feedback
Yeah.
because I don't think I'd have carried on doing it.
Can imagine not. No, I've done a few radio interviews. I've done a few Zoom talks and stuff like that. And yeah, you do always think like, oh, what if someone's gonna just I don't know. Maybe you said something wrong. Maybe you actually did say something that was incorrect, or maybe you just didn't come across as your best, and people just hammered you for it. Like it'd knock you. And that's not who you are as a person because you did one interview. You know what I mean? That's just
Yeah,
what you came across on that day, and
yeah,
there's no
yeah,
forgiveness online.
yeah. So plastering. How long? What age was you started when you were plastering?
Since I was about 17, I started my own business doing it. Uh,
Wow. Okay.
kind of did it myself because I was working here and there for other people before. Always just felt like always just felt like I had a good in my mind. I always felt like I could do this a little bit better. Not trying to be disrespectful to people. I just feel like I'm really good at figuring patterns and systems and ways to do things. And I just felt every time I felt I'd do it differently. I'd do this better. And after a while, bit back and forth, I just decided that I'm just going to do it my way for myself. And everything I did in plastering was very different to traditional because I self-taught myself, which meant I didn't really have any rules to follow. And sometimes it didn't work, but
Right.
then it does work. So I had all these unconventional methods. I was very early on into modern methods and machines and spraying. And then I took on a different system of a special inside spray that is not really seen over here, particularly when I started it. And I was back and forth, trial and error, good times, bad times, until I got it really good. And then I set my own training course up, teaching people this online because I realized there was no real good way to learn this because I
Mm,
struggled. And I
yeah.
managed to teach a load of other people, how to do that and got some really good feedback. So that was good.
Wow. 17, mate. That's impressive.
17. Well, we were 19, mortgaging a kid.
Most 17-year-olds don't run around not quite knowing what to do. So I'm impressed. You are an impressive
I
person.
probably wasn't knowing what I was doing at that time. I was 17. I was in between hangovers and plastering.
Oh, but you've done well. So you UK Pastor of the Year. Now that's not the first time you've won that title, neither is it?
No, it is the one time I've won that. I've won that once, and they didn't elect somebody the following year. So I
Right.
said, I'm going to hang on to that then.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that.
Become our joke now in our trade content. Every time I mention it, I'm like, I'm really dragging on a bit now. I'm like, hey, but I did got it, and I have got the award, and I'm just going to keep riding this.
I would say keep milking it.
To be
Absolutely.
fair, I probably didn't milk it at all at the time. I remember thinking when I won it, I really wasn't asked, not asked. It was because at that time I was really pursuing wanting to do other things, wanted to do video stuff, and I've won this award for being Plasterer of the Year. It was like I won an award in an industry that I didn't see myself in the future.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Strange feeling. I love what I do. I love plastering, particularly the stuff we do, the high-end houses. It's all creative, and we get a free run. It's good. I just think I've done that. I've done a good job of it. Surely there's more
Mhm.
to more. I don't want to. There must be more. There's got to be something else. Surely there's something else I could do a great job at, and I should be lucky. I am lucky for what I've already got, but I just feel like now I know better, particularly in the last 5 years. What else can I do?
Right. Okay.
I was already doing that.
So what are your thoughts behind that? Have you got anything ticking in your head going, oh,
I've sat with Paul many times on Zoom and asked him this question, and every time back here again, you said this last year. Because I don't know. It's got to be a creative job. I don't think it's going to be anything like videography. I've dipped my toe in it. It's not as fun when you're doing it for other people's
I
businesses.
was about to say, would you consider it for
Becomes a bit boring. It becomes a bit, they've got to be on board. It becomes a bit back and forth. And sometimes I thought, you know what? I just found it stressful. I love the creative stuff. Like when we've gone with Paul on events and we meet certain groups, that's great. Outdoor filming because
yeah.
they give us a free role. Like we meet the guys at Through Dark, like
Hmm.
Spasnor, and they just say, do what you want. And that's the days I love. And they say, do what you want. That's creative. I love that. But
Yeah.
going forward, I'm not too sure. I love marketing. I love creating plans and strategies like I've been doing all day today and then executing them myself.
Hmm.
Maybe if I keep doing a good job of that, maybe I could try and offer this to other people and just say that I'll create you a strategy and I'll shoot some video. But it's hard when you come from a job that you've built up that already pays you quite well to step into something that's probably not going to pay you that well. It's a hard balance to tip.
It is, yeah, yeah. But you do everything without any fear now, right? So
Fear of nowhere to live, fear of no food.
yeah. So are you training people still now to plaster the way that you plaster?
Um, every now and then it's kind of one of those really, really niche things. So there was a flow of it. It's quite an expensive thing to invest into as far as machines and tools. But whenever
Right.
people out there that are wanting to do it, I know for a fact that I can save them a fortune because of the time and the knowledge that I can give them. I just stop them with all these early mistakes and all the things that I did, and there's still no real way of learning this elsewhere. And it's like,
Mm,
does it need to be like that? And because I'm a hands-on person that's always done it, I've just gone right through, videoed everything we've done, start to finish, and just solved every problem in advance. So yeah, when there's the person out there that's ready for that, I've got what they need. But as far as an ongoing thing, I don't know how much more legs that's got in it because it is so niche.
yeah. Niche is good though, mate.
It is. It is.
I love that. I love that. So going back to working with Morty, what other kind of goals have you set that have been a bit out of your comfort zone, but you've managed to do?
Um, I'd say I'm going through one at the minute, really. And even though it
Go
doesn't
on.
probably sound like it to you, because you see me do it all the time, but today and tomorrow, what I'm doing, the videos I'm shooting for my business, I set my goal to shoot 2 videos every week, just on your iPhone, no fancy cameras, no scripts, just maybe a subject title and just go. And the idea was just get better at talking on the spot, no thinking, no building it up, no overthinking, no staying up late writing things down. And I've done it and I've done it to the point that I feel like I've massively improved confidence on camera.
Hmm.
That now when I'm doing my stuff that is scripted, but it's scripted by me in my own words, that I'm saying it better. I've got no fear. I'm walking through the streets of Cheltenham. People are looking at me while I'm being videoed. I don't care. And I'm doing a mint job of it. And I've come to the end of today and I'm like, smashed it. That was the goal. The goal was to get better.
Yes.
I got better. So
Yeah. Do you know what? It's not easy though. I mean,
no.
I can, me and you talking over Zoom, I'm completely fine with this. But if you set like a phone in front of my face where it's only me talking to me,
Yeah.
it's a bit different, isn't it? It's a bit like, oh God, you've
I
got.
used to find that really hard. When I first started, I look back, I'd sit up with my camera on my own, I'd be okay. I get to site and I give one of my workers a camera or a phone, and I would forget everything about what I'm going to say. I don't understand anything. I would
Yeah.
say silly words. I would make funny faces. And I look back at where I was to where I got to, and I remember talking to Paul about it, and I said, "How'd you get better?" He just said, we said, get the reps in. The more you do it, the better you get. And scripts take away passion. So if you can get rid of scripts
Yeah.
for your daily content, obviously we have to script some stuff because we have to be factual and correct. But if you can get rid of a script at most parts and start speaking as yourself and being authentic, it just comes across that way. And the other day, actually, my aim was to be more authentic. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
hard when you're trying to sell a service and then you start showing your personality, and I think actually he's a bit mouthy. But someone messaged me. It was somebody who's in Paul's group and said, "Just in your last video, really good, loads better, more confidence. Thought it was really authentic." And I thought you just listed everything I was trying to do. So I love that.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just a
yeah,
time saying that the hard work's paid off.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Like it's very, it's not natural, is it, for us to be filming? So it's going to feel uncomfortable.
Not natural, where I grew up as well, where just to be people out there filming yourselves and like doing all these things and working on bigger houses.
Yeah, I mean, the younger generation don't seem to have a problem with it, right? It's just,
So, you know,
but then they've grown up with it, so it's, it's completely different kettle of
mm,
fish. But getting out your comfort zone, do you recommend that to people?
yeah, of course, because like even I've learned through working with Paul to seek out those things. This with you this evening, when you asked me to do it, I thought to myself, I'm not sure. But then I thought that's going to be hard, but that's going to be talking on camera. And one of your goals is going to be getting better at doing all these things. So I just said yes for the reason of that'd be hard. Everything I see, like I had a PT a few months ago. I was going to the gym, wanted to get a bit better. I thought, let's invest and go pay someone that knows more than you. Normally that'd be like, oh, PT, that's embarrassing. Walking through the gym with your chaperone and looking like, I just thought, oh wow, that's scary. Let's do that. Like so, every time I've felt that, I now my almost impact reaction is to do it because once you've done it, you've overcome it. I think that actually started the day I actually recognised that was my mum's funeral. I
Right.
I spoke at a funeral. I I wrote what I wanted to say, and I was adamant, and I told everybody as well. Before I knew what accountability was, I was doing it. I was telling everyone I'm going to do it, so I had to do it. And I got there and I said everything I needed to do, and it was controversial as well. I'm saying, I called out people in a family at a funeral when I stood there, but
Yeah,
when I did that, after there for quite a long time, I felt like I could do quite a lot of things. I felt like that I didn't know I could or didn't think I'd be able to do that. And I did do that. And it just made me think, what else can I do? When I did my first goal with Paul and I got that new van, it made my brain go, what else can you do? Because you didn't think you could do that. And it really just opened your mind up to think completely different about everything. As soon as you start setting unrealistic targets and hitting them, you think, what else can I do?
yeah. Do you know what? I absolutely love that, and that was a big thing for you to stand up at your mum's funeral to do that.
I was never going to not, I guess,
Yeah,
because
yeah. But yeah, I'm so glad you did because it just
it
showed
wasn't just
what you can do.
yeah, there's my sister there as well, and she did the same. But
Yeah. Are you the kind of person to pat yourself on the back when you've done something good? Or are you just like straight move on to the next
I'm
one?
like I'm like my brother. We're the same. Like my brother is an amazing singer, and he'll be on YouTube and here I have all these views. There'd be people saying, I love your song more than the original, and that's my favorite artist. Couldn't get a bigger compliment. He will scroll until he finds the one negative,
Right.
and then they hang up on that, and I'm like that. I can be that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, do you know what? I knew that from our messages, right? When I'm going, you need to come and find you really inspirational. You need to come on the podcast. And you're like, why? I was like, mate, are you being serious? Like, why do I really need to tell you why? I've seen you go from like doing all the videos to UK plastering, and then you drop the video about your mum. And I'm like, oh my God, look at what he's come through to where he is now. And you can't recognise that, can you?
I do find it hard, even when I'm doing video stuff. Sometimes I think that, I don't know, I had some people say, you do realize that you are quite good at doing that. And I said, genuinely, I don't feel like it. I feel like sometimes it goes quite well because it just went quite well. Like, I don't feel like it's because I did a good job. I just think it just worked out.
Oh, mate. Yeah, trust me, I only have inspirational people on this podcast. So it's like you are here for a reason. So take the compliment.
I'll try and take that in.
So if anybody's listening to this podcast that's in your situation like you were 5 years ago, and you've got any words of wisdom for them, what would it be?
If they find themselves in a situation like what I was, I guess don't let it be an excuse. Don't let it fuel the fire to carry on doing the shit that doesn't serve you. Use it. Use it. You look at that person and say, like, everything you do from now on is a representation of that person. Like, acting up and being wounded isn't gonna help the situation. It's not gonna bring them back. It's never gonna show good light on them. Like, you represent them now, you're left. What are you gonna do about it? You've still got the opportunity. It is your opportunity. This is your choice. Something bad's happened out of your control, but now it's back in your hands. What are you gonna do? You can do whatever you want, and it doesn't need to be a negative life of it and never be the same. It may never be the same, but how is still up to you.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I've got one last question to ask you. Have you ever listened to any of my podcast?
I haven't listened all the way through. Come on. No, I've
This is the
scrubbed.
most awkward question, and you're going to find this uncomfortable being as you hit yourself with a stick, right? Rich, tell me 3 good things about yourself.
Oh, don't ask me that. 3 good things about myself.
Yeah.
I do Zooms with people for no reason.
You can't, I'm not letting you have that one.
I know what I love. I know what I love. I don't, there's no second guess. That's my pug.
Ah.
Yeah. He's going to start for a long time.
That's right. You've got 2 more things to tell me what you love about yourself.
Well, let me go kick him out.
Okay.
No, I'll go back to the beginning. Yeah, I know what I love. I never used to know what I love. I know I love creating stuff. I recognize when I don't need motivation to do something. And that's new to me in the last so many years. I love that I know that everything's in my control. I never used to know that. I learned that every day, it's just up to me what I do. I don't have to go work for these people. I don't have to do this. I can choose. I can cancel everything and just go and exercise because I'm more important, because I want to feel good, and feeling good's more important than going to plaster someone's kitchen because they're in an emergency. They're always in an emergency,
Yeah.
So I guess a lot of the things I love are the things I learned. I'm struggling to give you a third.
That's what it's like. You found yourself through all that trauma that went on. You found yourself in it through it.
I think I did. I think I knew I always, there's loads of things I still got to improve on, but I knew that I could have been a better person than I was being. And I think it just gave me that purpose to be better. Like, it was a bit of a wake-up call. Like, you haven't got forever to do what you think you can do it now.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. And obviously you've got your own family as well. do you kind of think, right, I'm going to show them a different way, I'm going to be different for them?
Yeah, I felt
Yeah,
that very much at the beginning, that how we react, they will look at us, you know, they will get older, they will understand what's happened, and they will say, look at mum, look at dad. What did they do? Did they turn to shit? No, they didn't turn to shit. And I hope that's an example to maybe sometime in their life, they might be able, when they're older and they understand more, they might look at us and something might go wrong for them. And then,
yeah,
I mean, if we decide, you know, if we didn't behave the way we did, maybe that would be their excuse to not behave correctly when something goes bad for them. I want them to look at that and go, no, this happened to my mum, my dad, and they responded like this, and I'm going to do the same, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you know what? It's a valuable lesson that is, to bring children up in that way, to be emotionally resilient, because I believe that's what's lacking. Like, we were never taught, mate, when we were at school, if something goes wrong, you know, do this, this, and this. I believe that school was set up for you just to pass everything and then leave.
Mhm.
So we're not taught. So by you showing your family that way, I think that's a very powerful and valuable lesson. So you should be very proud of yourself as well.
Cheers, thanks for that.
Will you let yourself be proud?
Yeah, I'll take that one in.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you, mate, for joining me. An incredible podcast. And like I say, I think it'll help a lot of people that are going through the same situation that you found yourself in, because it is a huge problem. And fingers crossed, hopefully the suicide rates will go down. But for now, I do believe that the survivors of suicide, let's say the people that are left behind, can find peace and a life that they still love.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly that.
yeah. So thank you, my lovely. You take care.
Okay, cheers.